Okay.
We are in partners together. We form what we call the Alliance 2015, which is an alliance to work together, especially to end the hunger in the world. So we work globally, not only in Liberia, to address the issues of food security and nutrition in particular.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the 2023 GHR report for Liberia, focusing on the power of youth in shaping food systems
Yes,
in the
please.
country. You can just start off with that.
Yeah, well, the global hunger index is being released by this alliance of both Concern Worldwide and WHH for about 18 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I know we will be most interested in what is in it for Liberia. It compiles data for global undernourishment,
Mm-hmm.
child stunting, child wasting, and child mortality. These are the 4 key indicators that we look at because they are critical to a country's development. And then countries are ranked. Out of 125 countries that were assessed, Liberia ranks 117, and Liberia has a global index score of 32, meaning that the lower your score, closer to 0, the less hungry your people are. And so the higher the score,
Mm-hmm.
the more hungry your people are. So 32 means Liberia is as a serious situation with hunger.
Ah, okay.
Yes, it does. And undernourishment is rated about 35.9% of the population is undernourished. That's the global population in Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
And in the ranking, it's only Niger in the sub-region that is doing worse than Liberia. So Liberia is not doing well at all. And then for child stunting, it's about 29.8% of children under 5. Child stunting is like the extreme case of malnutrition. And the child wasting is about 4.3% of children under 5. And the child mortality is about 8.8%. So these are not good data for Liberia. However, this has been slowing down over the years. There has been some improvements. It has been improving. Our concern is the pace is too slow.
Okay.
So all have been improving or stagnant, except general undernourishment, which has increased a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me come to you, Mohammed, and talk about the factors responsible for the hunger in Liberia.
Yeah, thank you very much. Basically, WHH and Concern have been working towards this direction, basically, and we have over time observed and had studies and have come up with few things that are really responsible. And some of them could around poverty level. When you work in those counties that we normally operate in, the level of poverty is still dominant, and so we're making sure that we work towards addressing this. Climate change is also affecting production because nowadays you even observe that there's long rainfall. The season is increasing in terms of rainfall. You have rains during the dry season. It's becoming an issue. You also notice that there's an inadequate infrastructure such as good roads. Market linkages are mostly linked to good roads. So if you go to places like Riverside, Sino, where WHH Concern have been working for quite a long time, during the rains, you see that the food that gets spoiled along the way is so massive. You see trucks load of goods, but they can't reach to places where they're supposed to reach. So all of these things are contributing factors, definitely, that we are grappling with. And like Hubert said, we are not doing too well in this direction, and these are the things that we are trying to push under the GHI.
So, Mr. Charles, let's look at the report's methodology, the methodology used to come up with this report. Well, did the team go on a field to sample views? So how was it done? How was the report done?
Yes, some sampling was done, but mostly we relied on secondary data. So these are data that have already been published and they're in the public domain.
Okay.
We just consolidate those data, although we also collected local data.
Mhm.
And what we have is not very different from what other figures you will find in other systems that they're doing it. And so, of course, the government have used our report and our data. And the good thing is that we are working with the government to address these issues.
Okay.
So the government has in one way or another recognized that this is an issue. And together with civil society, we have put in place program. In fact, last year, the government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, have their own assessment use with the collected data, and it was not very different from what we had. And based on those data, we designed programs. For example, we're doing nutrition sensitive agriculture. We are promoting food production. Concern and WHH, we are working with women's groups and other groups to boost food production. We are boosting value addition. For example, we in the areas where WHH works, cassava production has more than doubled. And we are also doing value addition. So there is gari and other products that are being made from that. And because of that, the communities that we work with are earning money. And they are therefore able to buy food supplements and improve on their nutritional status. And also, they are growing vegetables. We are promoting kitchen garden or backyard garden, whatever you call it, where they grow vegetables. And we are linking them up with markets because the vegetable production is booming, but because it's highly perishable, we have in some cases improved on the roads.
Yeah, farm to market road.
Yeah, exactly what we're doing. So we will either do culvert or bridges or do the whole road, as long as it is linking the farm to the market, so that people are able to sell their products. Because in most cases, for about 5-6 months a year, you can't move into some counties. It's extremely difficult. So
what are the targeted counties for you?
Well, the whole of the Southeast we work, because if you look at even the Liberian data, that's where you have the worst indicators. So we work in the most deprived areas. So from Ganji there, Riverses, Sino, all of those counties have poor indicators for health, nutrition, food security.
So let me, what specific role is Concern Worldwide playing in improving the situation? Now that the data is out, Liberia is ranked 117 out of 125 countries with the GHR score of 32.2. It means that Liberia faces a serious level of hunger.
Yeah.
So what is the role Concern Worldwide playing there to better the situation?
Yeah, so basically what we have been doing, just queuing from what Hubert said, we have been in it for quite a long time now. We have made sure that one thing that is critical is capacity building of our farmers, mothers groups that we deal with in Grand Bassa and Riverses, because that's where our niche is. So we have made sure that trainings like good agricultural practices using climate smart agricultural approaches have been part of our work. We've also made sure that nutrition sensitive agriculture, like he said, is part of the training. So whatever food that is being produced is deliberate, that they can produce vegetables, they can produce cereals, they can produce legumes like groundnut, cowpeas that are nutritious to them. We're also making sure that we link some of these young entrepreneurs, like what the whole story is about for GHI this year is youth. So we're promoting young people in terms of entrepreneurship to go into this. It's not an easy task, but we're identifying few of them who are now interested in boosting agricultural production in key areas where we work in. And you can go to maybe the storage houses that we built under the EU Partners Program that concern and WHH just closed down in 2023. We built a lot of storage houses, and we had big machines that we deployed in those areas that can mill both gari and the flour. So if you go to places like District 3 now, you can see a very good entrepreneur who is producing flour as well as the gari, and he's now packaging those. You can see that he's now developing swamp rice, which has been a big issue. People have not been growing swamp rice. We have also tried as much as possible to identify potential mothers who are now doing things around breastfeeding, ensuring that people cannot just young lactating mothers cannot be feeding their children at an early stage of 1 to 2 months with water, but exclusive breastfeeding is part of our game plan, which I know the Ministry of Health is also pushing strongly. So these are some of the things, in addition to what Hubert said, that we are doing.
So Hubert, I mean, let's look at the impact of hunger on the vulnerable population, like Liberia. Let's say the youth, for example.
Well, if you're hungry, even if you have work, you're not going to do work. So it affects their health mentally, it affects them physically, and it leads to some delinquency and the like. And what we're trying to do is, we found out that most youths do not want to be on the production side of the food system. That is going to the farm using the hoe to dig. So we are encouraging them to be on the value addition. So, for example, we encourage them to form small or medium enterprises. Recently, we have given grants to over 20 of such SMEs to either start up their business or accelerate the existing business. And 99% of them are doing extremely well. We even have one SME we work with where we introduced a startup who has got additional grant from USAID and is gone big time. We're working with these SMEs, strengthening them. Most of them are run and managed by young men and women. And so they are creating jobs, not only for their communities, but also for the farmers. Because they for those who are processing cassava, if we're using that example, you now have more farmers growing cassava. And when they sell the cassava, they make more money. We have more farmers growing groundnuts, and they make money from that. And a number of them are young people. But in terms of the value addition, in terms of the marketing, in terms of the transportation, we are getting young people involved in that. And then those who will be interested in production carry on with production, but make it interesting and exciting for young people.
I mean, the report is out. How well has the government received it? The government agencies, like the Ministry of Agriculture.
Well, interestingly, Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Health in particular, they have been working with us very well. They've been critical of what we're doing, but they have been supportive, and we work together. I've met the new Minister of Agriculture. I've met the new Minister of Health. We've met with even the directors of the program. In fact, all of them are committed to be at the launch, which will take place tomorrow. Hopefully, it will be launched by His Excellency the President, would be at the launch of the GHI report. And there is a commitment on the side of the government to work together to address this. I think the first step in solving a problem is to identify that you have a problem. And I think the government does accept that there is a problem, although there is some kind of disagreement over the data. But that's fine. We'll work toward. That's why the government last year did their own survey, and we are working with the Sun Secretariat, the Scale Up Nutrition, you know, to see how we can all work together collectively to address this problem instead of doing it in a fragmented way.
Are there counties where the hunger level is high?
Oh yeah,
because, you know, I mean, the situation will vary. Monserrato may not be as Maryland or Grand Cru, for example, in terms of the hunger level. So, based on the report that you've done, are there hotspots? You know,
Yeah, the general southeast, even in Monserrado, rural Monserrado.
okay, to the area.
Yes, study. And we have just worked with WFP to do a similar program. And if you go to Tudi now, rice production has more than doubled.
Mm.
Yeah. So we are into food production. And in Zille, we actually WHH constructed an irrigation scheme. So now they have water year round, and a 710 acre land is being cultivated with rice. Rice production. Yeah. So now they are able to harvest twice a year in Zelle, as one of the examples. So addressing the issue of the food production, and then also in Zille, for example, we have young men and women who are into rice production because they are seeing the returns.
Okay. And Mohammed, how can young people, youth, contribute to resilient and sustainable food systems as part of what you do?
Yeah, basically one of the things we have been looking at strongly, and we think also the government can also push, and I think it's part of their agenda, is policy side of things. Basically, I think over time we have been moving them aside in terms of developing policies that will really support them. So having the youths to be on board in even designing programs, having their own contribution that will say, yes, this is what we want, is one critical thing. And in most of our programs where we work, basically, when we go into our entry, our targeting is basically looking at the age gap. We stratify them, those who are in the youthful stage, those who are at that old, although we don't discriminate against them, but we mostly encourage women, young women and men to be on this, and all the discussions sometimes in the design. The other thing also is technology and innovation. This is something I know Liberia is among the countries that might not have been improved, that might not have improved in terms of innovation and technology. But there are a whole lot of people out there in the communities or even in the urban areas who have a lot of ideas. Yeah. So basically looking at things that could push agriculture ahead is important, like climate smart technologies. Simple things like what Hiba was saying in terms of irrigation schemes. Now, for concern, for instance, we just decided to introduce treadle pumps. These are basic technology, but treadle pumps can help to irrigate lands, wherein you in the areas where people are struggling to get water to their farmlands. With this simple technology, it makes production go on throughout the year. System of rice intensification, as I indicated, under climate smart approaches. These are things that we are working with different agencies to improve on rice production throughout the year, which is our local. And mind you, Hubert and I are pushing strong localization, and that's what even the CSOs that we work with are pushing. How do we produce local rice and reduce the level of importation? And that can only happen if we introduce strong innovative ideas, strong technological ideas amongst the youths, which are stronger. We want to see how we can reduce the level of bike riding in communities. But mostly people think bike riding is the fastest means of getting money, but it's one of the most risky means of getting money.
Yeah, but it's the fastest way of getting
exactly.
Maybe,
but then
of dying too.
Exactly, a hungry man is an angry man. Even if you ride that motorbike, if you don't have food on the table, it's a problem. So we want to see how we can consolidate our efforts to maintain the youthful population on food production in terms of value addition. He already mentioned that value addition to products that we can bring to our communities, saturate food production in our communities, extend the surplus to areas where people need more, like Morovia. Yeah, Morovia could be our last focus, basically. But we want to see communities are full secured, before they start thinking about the outside. And then the last thing I would talk about, like youth-led initiatives. These are things wherein we want to see how strong youth entrepreneurs come up. Like he said, there's a guy now who has been supported with USAID grants, who will be at the GHI launch tomorrow. We also want to see young CSOs who are pushing advocacy on food security, on food systems. And this is now the road we want to lead to. So these are the things that we are moving. It's not an easy task, like he said. We have been in this for quite a long time, but we want to see how all of us, the government, us, donors, can continue pushing in the communities where we work in to make sure that we mean business, and we want to ensure that we achieve this goal.
Yeah, Hubert.
Yeah, you mentioned localization. It's very important. You know, I go to government meetings and we are drinking imported water, and sometimes we eat imported rice, we eat imported chicken.
But yes, still you're talking about boosting food, local food production.
At home, I go local. The tea I drank this morning it's from Liberia. It's a local lemongrass. I eat local rice. I don't eat imported rice. I don't eat chicken except when I'm out of Monrovia, because that's when I get local chicken. I think we need to promote local products
and be intentional about it.
Yeah, when I go to these restaurants, I ask, can I have country rice, local rice? They say no, we don't have it. Why? They say people don't demand it. I mean, I don't think that's the right approach, because also if these people now start increasing production, there has to be the market. Yeah. And there has to be a government intentional policy to promote local products.
Yeah, local purchasing power too. You know, to limit the importation of rice is to implement a policy that will increase local purchasing power. That is, you increase the local rice on the market and maybe demand and lower, the percentage of importation. And increase people local purchasing power. For example, let's say each rice store should have local rice, country rice in the warehouse for sale.
Like a must.
A must.
That should be the way forward. You need to balance it. We're not talking about reducing importation of rice. We're talking about increasing local production, because we know that's a sensitive issue. But if you are able to produce rice to scale, use the economies of scale, the cost of production will consistently go down. If you are in Zille, where we have 710 acre, the cost
in Grand Jude.
Yes, in Grand Jude, the cost of production, the unit cost, is going down because you're using economies of scale. So, and I think the last time I spoke to the minister, the new minister, that's what he's looking at. Have a big farm with tractors and equipment and do production, which is what we have been doing.
For me, production, but after producing the rice, where does it go?
Well, you have to produce first. Then we have now, like WHH, what we've been doing, the roads, the marketing. In fact, in Zela, it's a cooperative that is doing it. So we have trained the cooperative. We provided support, bike and other support to the agriculture officer there in Grand Jude to be providing training to these farmers. So technical assistance is being provided. We helping them with packaging. And we're looking at the whole transportation. Where is the market? Because in most cases, they produce this rice, but they don't eat it. They eat imported rice because now it's more expensive. So they make a little bit more money. But then when production goes up to a certain state, there will be an equilibrium, where it becomes insignificant. That's what we need to do. And I think that's what if I get it right, the new minister of agriculture is trying to achieve.
Are there, before we take course, are there recommendations there in the report?
Oh yeah. We're looking at a number of things, that the government, for example, continue to work with civil society to address this problem. We would have to do it collectively. We think people have a right to food, and that has to be considered. and also the meaningful involvement of youth in policy and decision making with regard the whole food system, but also investing in young people's capacity to be leaders in food system transformation. Because if it's the older generation, normally what you say when people retire, you go into farming. But then we also want to see the government adopting a policy to make farming a business. So it is a business to make money. There is money in farming. And like now, from what I hear from the minister, they are promoting increased agricultural production. That is something we are recommending to the government. We support that. And reduce dependency on imported food, from water to whether it's rice or everything, so that we boost local production and you generate the local economy. Even the cream I use on my body is shea butter, locally made. I go for local products, and I think if most of, and I eat eggs sometimes, I get it from a local NGO called Shed. They do wonderful poultry, and I'm promoting them because it's local products. If they are able to break through in the market, it will be good for the local economy. Instead of, because when we import food, we create jobs for people overseas.
Sure. So let's see if we can take few calls before we take leave of you. Call us on 0800514 096 0800514 096. Mr. Hubert Charles is from WHH. He's the country director. Is it a country director or manager?
Yes.
And also Mohammed Alpha from Concern Worldwide. Let's hear from this person here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's the name?
This is calling you from local camp.
Go ahead, sir.
First of all, let me appreciate the few guests with their exposing the contribution they are doing to Soki. But my question this morning to them, are they have any plan to come local camp there because some larger swamp are here, people are not implementing them. But this morning when I hear that SOC discussing the country rights, about believe in country rights, so we need them in Lofa. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any plans for Lofa County? Are you working in Lofa as well?
We are not currently working in Lofa County, but there are other agencies supported by, I think, USAID that are working in Lofa County. So implementing similar programs. I think they just need to get in touch with local authorities and get involved in whatever program is going on there.
Yeah. 0800514 096 0800514 096 7705818886. We have so many organizations working in almost in the same area. And so now I tend to wonder, why is it that the result is not as huge as the organizations in the sectors?
Yeah, so I would say I have worked in Grand Bassa and Rivers under Concern for 4 years. And what I have actually observed in those two counties, of course, for Hiba, they have a larger coverage area. It's the whole thing about behavioral change. Behavioral change means mindset. How do we transition from what we have been used to? And I'll tell you for free that there are still some people who have some relief mindset. Yeah. And there are people who have graduated from relief mindset and doing for themselves. And this is where we are now at when they say this is the BHH doing something, Concern doing something, they will say, oh, Concern this. For instance, if you set up CSLAs, that is Village Savings and Loans, they will say Concern VSLA. So when you visit, like if you visit them now and they are introducing and say Concern VSA or WHA VSLA.
So they attach
so they still attach this thing, so these are some of the things that we are grappling with. Like even for the food, like he was talking about.
Yeah.
How do we change from the imported food to the one we produce and making sure that we increase our farm sizes, improve productivity? That is the area where we are, and we all have to put hands on deck to make sure we change people's mindset towards that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a parting comment, Mohammed. Mr. Hubert.
Yeah, thank you very much again. Now, promoting local content is very critical, and we want to work with the government at all times that we are able to generate the local economy, we're able to increase food production, we're able to improve this condition of the youths by including them not only in the policy but also in implementation, but most importantly in the area where they are interested, which is the value addition.
Okay, hope to be at the launch tomorrow. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, they are from WHH and Concern Worldwide, Hubert Charles and Mohammed Afa. Next up, I will be speaking to my guest from the PCC. That's the